few old sets just sort of sitting around, not doing very much. Well, that's because we've all used them for a movie or television series, and they're not useful right now. We don't need to use them. So as you can see, every one of them has a little orange tag, and we've got it all labeled and cataloged. Oh, by the way, the street that we're traveling along, some of you may recognize a very familiar street here. This is Wall Street, ladies and gentlemen. And I think you know why we call it Wall Street, obviously. This is where we get to the Colonial Mansion off the JJ side of the tram. Built in 1926 for the movie Uncle Tom's Cabin. If you ever saw the television series Ironside with Raymond Burr, that is a house, ladies and gentlemen. You saw Raymond Burr standing on the steps there. He got shot in the spine because of that today. He's in a wheelchair for that television series. This house, some of you may recognize, off to my side of the tram here. This is the Marnie house from Alfred Hitchcock's production of Marnie. Interesting thing, one thing, if you look through the center door there, if you were to walk through that front door, you'd walk into a eucalyptus tree because there's nothing behind there. If you take a good look, you'll see it's got one wall and one wall only. Beaver, you might recognize that house as Beaver Cleaver's house. Beaver Cleaver and Wally used to walk down the sidewalk back home after school in the television series Leave It to Beaver. As you can see, we use these homes over and over and over again. For example, in The Man in the City this season, Anthony Quinn supposedly lived in the house off to my side of the tram here. And then, well, actually, after he was through doing that series many years ago, it belonged to John Forsythe when he did the television series Bachelor Father. So it gives you an idea of how many buildings and how we can sometimes use them for different television series and motion pictures. For those of you from the Midwest down here, this is our small town section on JJ's side of the tram. We call it Anytown, USA. This is quite easy to make it look like any small town in any part of the United States. San Francisco is the street off to my side of the tram. And how many of you out there from New York City? Anybody from New York? Nobody today from New York. Well, I just want to point out, you probably never knew this, but New York is directly on the other side of San Francisco. And we're traveling through New York City right now. This is known as East 62nd Street, Brownstone, New York. This particular building on JJ's side of the tram was where Carol Channing stayed in the motion picture Thoroughly Modern Millie, that's known as the Priscilla Hotel. Directly across the street there, the green apartment house is where Abbott and Costello used to live in the filming of the television series they did out here a number of years ago. Also Airport. Underneath, right where Slattery's gym is located, was a little cafe where Maureen Stapleton worked in the filming of Airport. Filming of Sweet Charity, starring Shirley MacLaine and Sammy Davis Jr. This is a mock-up of the Howard's Publications building, some of you may recognize from the name of the game. And the doorway in the corner, if you remember the television series Run for Your Life, starring Ben Gazzara. Do you remember that series? That was the doorway that Ben Gazzara came running out of at the beginning of each episode of Run for Your Life, after the doctor told him he only had a year to live. He's very lucky because he lived 2 years. Also, we get a lot of our drivers here. JJ and all the drivers you see on the tram not only drive the tram, but drive the studio limousines. So I always feel, kind of honored thinking that JJ not only drives me and the people on the tram, but sometimes, Robert Young or Paul Newman or some of the bigger stars. It's kind of exciting to think about that. Off the JJ side of the tram, you'll see some railings and gates over there, and I don't think you can tell from where we're sitting, but a lot of them are made out of balsa wood, not real steel or real iron at all. We just paint them to look as though they're made out of iron or steel. The large sprinklers off to my side of the tram, if you take a good look, these are the outdoor rain sprinklers that we use. And as you can see, they're a lot taller than the ones that leak water, and a lot of times we will dye the water blue. By doing that, it shows up a lot better on film. I had a group of people on my tour about a year ago from Sweden, and they told me they had the same problem. They did use milk rather than distilled water. Back again out to JJ's side of the tram. Here's a good view now, ladies and gentlemen, of the back end of the big city. Few of them ever have four walls or ceiling. They're simply shells of buildings. I know a lot of people, when they realize that the earthquake in February took place in the San Fernando Valley, that is the San Fernando Valley, by the way, that you're looking at, they might wonder, well, what effect did the earthquake have on the studio? Fixed it up, and it was good as new, so that's the only building that was affected by the February earthquake. Looking off to my side of the tram, I mentioned this in Soundstage 32. This is a rest stop we're going to be having up here at Prop Plaza. We will be here, ladies and gentlemen, approximately 20 or 25 minutes. And this is your chance to get something to eat or something to drink. Or go. There's some good shots coming up. So if you are running low film, this is the place to buy some. I don't believe you need flash cubes, so we're not going to be going indoors. Prop Plaza, I'm sure you can tell how it got its name. Quite a few props here from movies and television series. There's the War Wagon from the movie of the same name, starring John Wayne and Kirk Douglas. And by the way, on the second level prop, you will see some large properties from Land of the Giants, which was a 20th Century Fox production.
Please come around the front or the back of the tram, folks. Take the same seat you had. Please don't walk between the cars. We're listening again. We're going to be taking you through our back lot now, and eventually back up to the tour center where all the live shows are for you to see. The emergency cords on Jim's side of the tram. On our way there, we're going to tour through one of the property departments and show you some of the 1 million props we have in the studio. Like I mentioned earlier, many of them are